1979, the Soviet Union made a grievous mistake. They invaded the free country of Afghanistan. The U.S. decided not to send military forces to the conflict in Afghanistan. Instead, they boycotted the Summer Olympics. The U.S. had conflict within the decision to boycott the Summer Olympics. Some people wanted the U.S. to send troops to Afghanistan, but most people did not want military action in Afghanistan, including U.S. President Jimmy Carter. Because of this, the U.S. compromised by giving supplies to the Afghan rebels fighting the Soviet Union. And they also made the decision to boycott the 1980 Summer Olympics. Before the Soviets invaded Afghanistan, the Soviet Union and U.S. had been locked in the middle of a Cold War, which was still going strong. And since the upcoming Summer Olympics were being held in Moscow, Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union invading Afghanistan, the USA decided to boycott them. President Carter gave the Soviet Union a February 20th deadline to remove all troops from Afghanistan. When the Soviet Union failed to make that deadline, the U.S. Olympic Committee voted for if we would go to the Olympics. 2-1 people in the Olympic Committee voted against going to the Summer Olympics. Before the committee had the vote, President Carter gave a speech telling the world his feelings on the Soviets invading Afghanistan.
This invasion is an extremely serious threat to peace because of a threat of further Soviet expansion into neighboring countries in Southwest Asia, and also because such an aggressive military policy is unsettling to other peoples throughout the world.
Then, on March 21st, 1980, after the Olympic Committee made the decision, President Carter gave a speech and told the world that the U.S. would not be attending the Summer Olympics.
And I have notified the Olympic Committee that with Soviet invading forces in Afghanistan, neither the American people nor I will support sending an Olympic team to Moscow.
After the U.S. made the decision to boycott the Olympics, many other countries' Olympic committees decided to boycott because the U.S. was considered a superpower, and other countries wanted to follow what the U.S. did, including Canada, West Germany, and Japan. But the U.S. still needed more countries to boycott as well. So they sent boxing star Muhammad Ali to Africa to try to get more countries to boycott. But the night before he started his tour, he met with the Soviet ambassador to India, Yuri Vorontsov. Yuri tried to convince the boxing star to not make the trip, but Yuri failed, and Ali made it to his first stop, Tanzania. But the Tanzanian president insulted that Carter had sent merely an athlete to discuss the boycott. And in the meeting with the Tanzanian Minister of Youth, someone slipped Muhammad Ali a note calling him the stooge of Jimmy Carter. By the time of the Summer Olympics, the U.S. got a total of 66 other countries to follow their lead on an Olympic boycott. Many American athletes were affected by the action to boycott the Summer Games. Some thought of the Olympics as their last chance at fame, but they never got it.
The Olympic boycott has kind of hindered my performance in a way that when it first was announced, I was kind of really disappointed because the Olympics was my last opportunity to compete in a big major meet.
Don Page was one of the American Olympians affected by the boycott. He trained through the years of 1978 and 1979, just for his Olympic dreams to be dashed. Don was invited to the White House, where President Carter told him in person that he would not be attending the Summer Olympics. He watched the Olympics on TV, and his rival, Sebastian Coe, won a gold medal. On March 21st, 1980, after President Jimmy Carter made the announcement of boycotting the Summer Olympics, 97 athletes affected by the boycott got together and had an unofficial vote. 29 said that the U.S. should boycott the Summer Olympics, 44 said that the U.S. should not boycott, and 24 had no position. Most citizens in the U.S. thought that an Olympic boycott would be good, but most Olympians thought the U.S. should attend the Summer Olympics.
The fact that we're not going to the Olympics hasn't really deterred my training. I've made sure that I think through this Olympic Games and hope to prepare for another one, so it hasn't affected me too much. But I know for some of the other athletes it's been very difficult to train for this, knowing that we will not be going to the Olympic Games.
Well, it's really hard for me to accept the boycott, I guess because I'm selfish, because I've been training for it. But I guess our president felt this was the best thing for us to do, so we have to follow him.
I feel that it's probably the only thing that our country can do as a unit, and I'm very upset with what the Russians did, and I'm sorry that we have to look like the bad ones.
The Soviet Union made a terrible mistake on invading Afghanistan, and it blew up in their faces when the U.S. and other countries boycotted the Summer Olympics. The part that Olympians like Don Page played on not going to the Summer Olympics helped in the fall of the Soviet Union.